Hi, it's Dirk with Remodel AI, and I'm going to be jumping into another user request today. Rhonda has posted on our forums, and she wants to do a complete kitchen remodel. So she posted some pictures. She wants to remove this wall. I assume she says remove the wall, add an island, and I would assume that means transform this existing area and countertop into the island or peninsula. Remove these columns, which we can certainly do with AI. You'd have to consult an engineer to see if they're structural or not. They look decorative. Either way, we can remove them with AI. And expand the kitchen area into the dining area and replace the floor and change the cabinet and wall color to white. So she's provided a couple images. We're just going to work with one of the images, and I'm going to show you how to go about doing some of these things. So I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to switch over to the app. And again, as usual, we're going to be using the editor. That's because we're going to be doing a lot of edits in this case. And I'm going to load her photo from Google Drive. Oh, and actually, I messed up already. So the photos she provided had these black bars. That is absolutely going to mess with the AI because the AI is not going to know what these black bars are. It's going to think they're in the room. So what we need to do is go back, start over. I'm going to load the image. Instead, I'm going to click the advanced here, and I'm going to use the advanced image loader. The reason I'm going to do that is so I can go and crop. So probably this size. So we're going to select what area we want within that. And I could zoom in further if I wanted and kind of choose a specific area to work with. But we just want to basically get rid of these black bars. So let's go with that. That looks much better. So we have the entire room. We can't see much of the floor in this case, but let's go ahead and jump into her list of things. I think the thing to do first would be remove the wall. So to do that, I would use the replace tool, and I would probably just go over here, and we're going to have to remove these cabinets because they're attached to that wall. And get rid of everything here. And I would even get rid of a little extra there because the AI is going to see the reflection of the floor of the wall, and so it might be tempted to put a wall back because it knows if it sees a reflection that something's supposed to be there. So just be aware of shadows and things like when you're doing this. And again, you want to mask more than you think. So I certainly didn't stay within the lines. I could go back and I could zoom in and clean this up if I wanted to. It's really not necessary. What we want to make sure is the mask is too big and covers everything that we want to replace. So I'm going to give that a try. And as a prompt, the description, describe the new look. I'm going to say open kitchen, no wall. You can experiment with a bunch of different things here. It's going to take some experimentation. But generally, this is used to guide the AI when it's creating a new image. So when I say open kitchen, no wall, it's going to encourage it to provide a picture of an open kitchen. Of course, it's only allowed to change the area of the photo that I've masked. So hopefully what it will do is remove that wall. And that's pretty good, actually. Now it has to make something up in its place. So again, you could hit generate all day here, and it's going to come up with different things. That's a little messed up because the countertop here is kind of expanded out into space. That one I really like quite a lot, but it's kind of closed in that opening. But I'm gonna actually go, well, let's just try again. That one doesn't make a lot of sense. That one replaced the wall. I'm going to go back to this one. I just clicked the undo. This was our previous set. I really like this one. I'm going to accept that, but then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use replace again to kind of get rid of some of this stuff. And she also wanted to get rid of these columns. So why don't we go ahead and do that while we're at it as well? Because that's going to open everything up. She wants to be able to walk out here, I would assume. So we need to create an opening there. And I need to get rid of the reflection there. I'll get rid of this whole column. And I'm going to get rid of that column too. So you could do these as individual steps, or I'm just going to mask it over and see what it does with all of them. So I want to keep this area. This was all new. It just added that. So I'm going to just reuse the same prompt. Again, you could experiment with this quite a lot till you get something you want. But basically, you want to do this iterative process where you try different things. When you get something good, accept it and then edit it further. Again, you don't have to get it all one go. You don't have to get a perfect image in one go. You can accept it and then edit it again using the replace tool again. Interesting, it kept the, ooh, that's really good. Let's go with that one. So it got rid of the columns and it kind of kept this open where you can walk through back there. And this is now a big island. You might want to shrink this island down a little bit. I don't know what direction you want to go, but this kind of shows about, how you could open up the kitchen. And it's made up, new cabinets that kind of go along here. So let's start with that. And what was the next thing she wanted to do? I believe she wanted to get rid of the columns, change to an island, new floors. So one way to do that would be, you could also use the reskin tool. I'm going to jump over to the remodel tool and just say new floors. And you can use a pre-made one, light wood, or you can do a custom prompt here. You could say white oak wood floor, beautiful white oak. And so you can see over here, it's done floor. Let's see. It's not done a huge changes, to be honest. And that's probably because it's going to be biased to match these cabinets. So maybe we should actually cancel out of this and repaint things before we continue on. Because what it's going to do is it's going to be biased to match these cabinets. Because, usually you want your floors and cabinets to kind of make sense together. But you're going to repaint anyway. So I'm actually going to paint next. So the way I would do this is I use the Paint Explorer. This part is a little more tedious. You need to be a little more exact on what you want to paint. And the way to do this is, just be rough like this. And then you want to go back and you want to zoom in. And then you want to get the cabinets a little more exact. So unlike masking, which I was doing earlier for the replace, I do want this to be as accurate as I can. You can also use the magic wand tool, but that kind of did too much, so let's go back and tune that. I don't know if you want to paint the hood. Let's go over here and get rid of all that. Make the brush big again. This step can be a little tedious because basically you want to tell the AI exactly what you want to paint. It doesn't need to be exact, but you'll get better results if it's a little bit closer. So I'm just using the erase and the brush tool kind of color those in. And then we probably also want to paint these lowers. And here as well. I'm going to switch to the erase tool and clean that up a bit. Oops. A little bit too much. Okay, so let me look at that. That looks, well, I would spend a little more time, but for the sake of this demo, I'll just keep moving because I don't want to take too long on this part. Let's just go with painting that first. Now, after I've done the step of telling the AI what to want to paint, I want to choose a color. Let me just search through the database here. White. You said a whitish, but there's tons of whites. So let me use the palette here and just say what's available that's similar. Bridal Veil Bear. Bear is Home Depot, so if you're a Home Depot person, this would be good. Again, you could search by names. You know, we've got thousands and thousands of paints in the database, so if you're not a Bear person, you can use Kelly Moore or Sherwin-Williams or whatever your favorite is. So then you're going to click Generate, and that's going to generate a best guess of what that might look like on your cabinets. Now, again, color's really complicated, so there's a lot of variables. What temperature lighting do you have? How much natural light do you have? How dark or light is the overall room? It even depends really on what kind of monitor you're using to look at the images. So these are just guesses as to what this might look like. It looks all right, actually. It doesn't match the existing wall color, so I would probably go and change the wall color as well. And you probably want to paint this to match. But that gives you an idea of how to play. And so if you didn't like that color, you could say, well, I'm going to go with Mindful Gray. These are, when you click this, it shows your recent colors. Let's try Sea Salt. That has a little more color, a little less pure white. Sea Salt is a Sherwin-Williams color. And I like that a little bit better. It's a little less bright. Except that. So now we have, going back. This is our original. Remove the wall. Did another edit to remove the columns. Now we changed to white cabinets. And I believe the next thing was painting the walls. So I don't want to use the same white that I use for the cabinets, but let's go about seeing if we can paint these walls. So I'm going to use the magic wand tool to kind of cheat and select some different areas here. It's being too aggressive. But I don't want to manually do this. I want to make it quick. So I'm just going to use the magic wand tool to click on all these yellow areas. Oh, got to paint back here too. There's a lot to paint here. So, and you probably want to do these areas as well. That's a lot. So, but now I'm going to go and I'm going to clean this up a bit. Okay, we don't want to paint the countertop. If you're doing all this, you're probably going to get new countertops anyway because the existing countertops don't fit because you're going to expand this island. So another thing you could do is explore. So we don't want to paint that countertop. But as I was saying, you may want to explore different, or reskinning this countertop to see what different color, because with an all-white kitchen, you might want to add a little bit of color or some accents somewhere. Okay, so we don't want to paint that. We want to paint all that. I don't think we want to paint the ceiling. Let's not get... Well, you can take it a lot of different directions because that unfortunately is wall right there, so I think you need to paint that. because this is yellow. Let's do this. Let's just leave it and see what the AI comes up with. Again, using AI is all about experimenting and seeing what it comes up with and what different inputs provide you different outputs. So I'm not going to paint that part of the ceiling, but I am going to paint this because that was an existing yellow. Probably also want to paint in here and in there. That's a lot of paint. Okay, and you could, spend a lot more time, but in the sake of moving things along, I'm just going to click here and say, let's try pure white. I think it's going to be too bright. Pure white is one of the whitest colors. It is sometimes the really really whites are more like base colors. You don't actually want to use them as paints. You want to use them as primers or base colors. But let's just see what it looks like. It's not bad actually. This has a little bit of blue to it. I don't know if that's just because it's guessing from the shadows, but it's actually quite nice. But you do need to change your ceiling color, and I would recommend probably going with some accents here, maybe a wood countertop even, or some kind of granite marble with a little bit of color. But again, play with each one of these steps and figure out what you like. But I'm going to go ahead and accept this. I don't know if pure white would be this color. I think it would be a little less blue. This little bit of blue in this, but I think it's picking that up from somewhere else in the room. So we've already come a long way. I think we started there. Remove that. Then we started painting. Then we painted again. It's already looking completely different. And I think the other thing you wanted to do was new floors. And the reason I wanted to say that for last is because it's not going to be as biased towards matching the cabinets. So let's go with what we did before, just a white oak floor. And usually you're going to have the same floor here as over here, as opposed to a separate dining area and kitchen. At least it's a little more trendy these days to have one continuous floor instead of separating the two areas with a different flooring and some sort of transition between. Oh, and I love that. That's way better. That's really good too. And those are all pretty good. And again, you don't have to, just take one the first go. You can keep hitting render until you get something you like. So I'm going to accept that. And I believe that was everything. She wanted to paint. She wanted to change the island. She wanted to remove the columns and change the floor. And then usually the last step is you're going to go in and say, I want to upscale this image. I'm going to use the creative upscaler. Let's give this a try and say a beautiful kitchen. This guides the upscaling process because the creative upscaler is actually going to add details that weren't there. So that's how it gets such high resolution, because it understands, okay, that's a picture of a countertop. I'm going to add some details. The details that it chooses to add are based on this prompt. So you can get fancy there. I'm just going to try a beautiful kitchen and see what it comes up with. This one takes a little bit of time because it's a pretty big process, and now we have a much bigger image, and that looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how that's come out. You can go back and see before the upscaler. The other upscaler you could use is, or you could say a beautiful kitchen. Let's try this, and then more strength, which gives it more chance to add details. So let's just see what that looks like. The higher the strength, the more freedom it has to change the details when creating the higher resolution image. Ooh, and that's much better. Love that. It kind of messed up that area over there, but you could either work on that again with some replace operations, or you could just try the upscale process a couple times. Let me just try upscaling again with a little less strength. Beautiful kitchen. You know what? It's turning this into a kitchen, which is a little weird. I really like the output, so I'm going to do is I'm going to upscale it. I'm just going to say the same strength. I'm going to give it no prompt. Because what it was doing is it's looking at this area saying this is supposed to be a kitchen, so it's adding kitchen stuff over here. That's much better. Absolutely love that. So let's review quick. Started here, use the replace tool to remove that wall. Got halfway there, then use the replace tool again to get rid of the columns and that wall there. So this is now an island. Then we use the Paint Explorer to paint the cabinets. We use the Paint Explorer to paint the walls. We then changed the floors. And then finally we upscaled the image. So a lot of steps, but hopefully this can help give you an idea of where you want to go with your kitchen. And I'll post this on the forum. So thank you, Rhonda, for posting your image. And you can repeat this process yourself and explore different options and figure out which direction you want to go. You know, I would definitely play with colors. I would probably also use the reskin tool to explore different countertops here. You could tune this up and change the lighting here. There's a lot more you could do. I would also explore different colors on your ceiling, but again, that's a huge project, so it depends on which direction you want to go. But thank you for posting your image, and hopefully this helps decide which direction you want to go. Thank you.